All right. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, Great Millstone, who rule well and who taught me this truth. And shalom to you, sincere Akim, out there listening, learning, and pushing this truth. And shalom to the few sincere Akwath that are out there listening and learning as well. With that being said, I don't want to ratazah. This will be edifying. As usual, I'm going to go into Rakah Kwadash. And this lesson is inspired from two things. As you can see, I got an article up. It's from LinkedIn. It's entitled Employee versus Slave. What's the difference? And this video might be a little bit long. I got a plethora of scriptures. I don't know if I'm going to hit them all, but go in the spirit as usual. The Rakah Kwadash. I don't want to ratazah again. It'll be edifying. And really, we were going into this at camp. And, while we were bringing it out, you had, it looked like you had the northern tribe and you had the southern tribe together. They were like doing hard labor, digging. You had a couple jakes that were down in the ditch digging, and you had what would appear to be a couple Edomites taskmasters over them, and we were bringing out the word. We were going into how we were brought here as America. We were brought here in America, Babylon the Great, as a punishment, by our enemies to build this place up pretty much. And we went into the point that if you're an employee, basically you're a slave. If you punch the clock, if you're an employee's just a nice way of saying slave. You're a slave. And we all know that. The ones of us that have woken up to this truth, we know that we're not in actual physical chains anymore, chattel slavery, but nonetheless we are, as it says in Baruch, I think that's chapter 3, which I got it also. We are yet this day in captivity, right? And but now the change are pretty much spiritual. They're on your mind, and you're proved that you're a slave through these adhesion contracts. These terms and agreements that you've already agreed to before you were even able to walk or talk. Through these contracts, your social security number, your birth certificate, you've already agreed to, to these conditions, man, without having full, being a legal adult to consent, if you may have it, So, yeah, we were bringing it out, and you could see it was getting uncomfortable over there, so much that the Edomite taskmasters had to skedaddle down the street, man. Jake was looking like they wanted to, take the damn shovel, and a damn slave revolt was about to happen. Even Issachar, it was a beautiful sight, man. Seeing Jake getting roused up. It looked like it was about to be might have been a Montgomery, a brawl, all over again. Even Esau, Edomite that's always out there scoffing and scorning, it was cutting his ass. He called himself getting emboldened, but had to put his sleazy ass back in his place. Anyway, Slocky for that rant, but that's what inspired this lesson, as you can see. And the first person that I've ever heard say it, is the apostles, the apostles of Great Millstone, chiefly Elder Apostle Gabar. He always harped on that point about an employee is nothing more than a slave. So that prompted me to do a little, just see what would come up on the Google. First I was Googling, going into the etymology of employee, slave, so on and so forth. Nothing really nothing too enlightening came up. But then I found this article, and this is everything we've been saying, starting from the elder apostles on down. Okay, so enough of me blibbity blabbing. Let's get it. Employee versus slave. What's the difference? So it says let's start with the below ugly truth facts. Right? That's what I think I'm entitled this. The ugly truth. You are a slave. Let's start with the below ugly truth facts. We spend our lives working for others, keep paying off debts to others, keep performing tasks that others tell must do. Ironically, it's always urgent. We don't like to think of ourselves as servants or slaves, but that is what the vast majority of us are. Especially once Lincoln so-called emancipated the slaves. He pretty much, the whole population of the United States became slaves, you know? Owners, because we know emancipation was just a transference of ownership. He transferred all the United States citizens, not just the so-called black ones, to we became property of the state through these adhesion contracts, even his own people, Esau, Edom. So it says, we don't like to think of ourselves as servants or slaves, but that is what, and slavery is biblical, man. It's as ancient as prostitution, the oldest, what they say, the oldest business, you know, and it's biblical, and it's coming back in a big way, you know. Slavery ain't going nowhere. It's coming back in style, starting with you goddamn wicked elites, you know, per Psalms. Yahweh Shai is coming to bound your goddamn nobles and kings with chains and fetters of iron. You know, you heathens are going back into your proper place. You know, I'm jumping the gun. Anyway, so it says, we don't like to think of ourselves as servants or slaves, but that is what the vast majority of us are. It is just that the mechanisms of our enslavement have become much more sophisticated over time. Again, through these adhesion contracts. The words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war's in his heart. You know? It's not chattel slavery anymore. Now it's, you know, really spiritual. You know? Overt. You know? Was that overt or covert? I can't remember. It's not overt. Like chattel slavery was overt, obvious. You were in chains, you know, yokes of iron upon your neck. Now it's covert, you know. These bills that never, you know, we gonna get it. You know, it's covert. You gotta look deep. It's the illusion of being free. It's an illusion. You're not free. You don't own anything here. It's all an illusion. The illusion of inclusion. It has been said that the borrower, and that's straight from the scriptures, which I'm gonna get also, right? It has been said that the borrower is the servant of the lender. That's why the Rothschild, who was that, Meyer? I think it was Meyer M. Rothschild, whatever. I think he's the one that said, give me control of a nation's finances, the money. We brought that out too at camp. Going back to the Rothschild movie on YouTube, the House of Rothschilds. That's what he told his sons, you know, on his deathbed, you know, to go establish banks in these different nations, France, England, so on and so, Germany, you know. And in that movie, they showed you that they all were working together, and all these leaders would go to the bank. Napoleon Bonaparte, all these leaders, when they went to war, they had to go to the Rothschilds, you know, because it showed you that in Game of Thrones. All wars are bankers' wars. They showed you in Game of Thrones that they funded both sides of the wars. War is big business, man, and it's really the elites profit off of that, you know. So it says, it has been said that the borrower is the servant of the lender. And most of us start going into debt very early into our adult years. Yeah, you from the moment you're born into debt. And you go out with debt, you know? In fact, those that go to college to get an education are likely to enter the real world with a staggering amount of debt. Usury. And of course, that is just the beginning of the debt accumulation. Today, when you add up all the mortgage debt, all credit card debt, and all student loan debt, over the course of our lifetimes, the amount of money that we will repay on our debts is far greater than the amount that we originally borrowed. In fact, when it was called debt slaves. We're debt slaves, you know? It says, in fact, when it comes to credit card debt, you can easily end up repaying several times the amount of money that you originally borrowed because of that usury and not to mention unjust weights. The money's not backed by anything tangible. It's fiat money, fiscal money, funny money, you know, ones and zeros. And the money's being constantly devalued, you know? So it says, in fact, when it comes to credit card debt, you can easily end up repaying several times the amount of money that you originally borrowed. So we work our fingers to the bone to pay off these debts. And the vast majority of us are not even working for ourselves. We brought that out. That's why it was getting awkward. It was getting real. It was getting real out there, real in the field. Instead, our work makes the businesses that the other people own more profitable. Yeah, if you're an employee, you're just building up the owners. You know, you're getting fucking not even peanuts, man. You're getting pennies, not shekels, and they're reaping all the benefits, making millions and billions and trillions off your back. You know. So if we spend the best years of our lives building businesses for others, servicing debts that we owe to others, and making others wealthier, what does that make us? Slaves, you know? But hey, we're supposed to be slaves for Yahushua HaMashiach, you know? I was just made me think about, you know, you all your best years. It says, remember thy creator in the days of thy youth. That's when Yahushua wants us. In our best years, when we have our sound mind and full strength to serve him, you know, to the best of our ability. It says, in this century, the words servant and slave have very negative connotations, and we typically, through his new speech, you know, and we typically don't use them very much. Instead, we use words like employee because they make us feel so much better. But is there really that much of a difference? This is how Google defines servant. And like I said, it wasn't really, it was bullshit. This article is laying it so much better. A person who performs duties for others, especially a person employed in a house on domestic duties or as a personal attendant. This is how Google defines slave. A person who is a legal property of another and is forced to obey them. This is how Google defines employee. A person employed for wages or salary, especially at non-executive levels. Yes, most of us might not be legal property. Yeah, you become legal property when you break a law. I think that's what, the 13th Amendment? You know, the 13th or the 14th Amendment? You know, slavery is legalized again. You know, you give up all your rights, you know? So it says, yes, most of us might not be legal property, again, unless you're incarcerated, of someone else in a very narrow sense. But in a broader sense, we all have to answer to someone. And ultimately, we, as Yasharallah, we answer to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We are to obey Yahweh rather than men. You know, we got to do what we got to do. We got to, you know, we're yet this day in captivity, you know, using the world, not abusing it. But our main master is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, you know. It says we all have someone we must obey. And we all have obligations that we must, so we were bought with the price. The price is obedience. We have to make our bodies a living sacrifice upon this altar, which is America. And we all have obligations that we must meet or else face the consequences. You see? Hey, remember Elder Apostle Tahar said, you working for the creator of the universe, man. You know? Do we stop work exactly once the working hours due? If not, then we are forced to be, it says, and we all have obligations that we must meet or else face the consequences. Do we stop work exactly once the working hours due? If not, then we are forced to be slave. From a very early age, we are trained to study hard so that we can get a good job and be good cogs in the system. We brought that out also. I believe that was John D. Rockefeller that came up with the public school system. He thought it was a beautiful idea, which it was a beautiful idea, to get your children away from you for like 8 hours, just like they was working, and indoctrinate them into his schools of thought, his ideologies, his ways of thinking, how to make money, how to acquire wealth, what wealth is, how to become basically a good slave, So it says, from a very early age, we are trained to study hard so that we can get a good job and be good cogs in the system, hamsters on that wheel. But is that what life is about? Is Yasharallah, is Jacob a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Is it about being a cog in a system that ultimately benefits others? Perhaps you don't think that any of this applies to you personally. Well, if someone came up to you and asked you what you truly own, what would you say? And we bring that out week in and week out. You don't own anything here. Like I said, this article just spoke like he was, like the spirit was on him, It says, do you own your vehicle or the bank? What about your home? Do you own it? In fact, overall, the banks have a much greater ownership interest in our homes and our land than we do. But even if you have your home totally paid off, does that mean you actually own it? Well, no, not really. Just see what happens to you. Just see what happens if you quit paying your property taxes or rent to the property to the proper authorities, which we mention that all the time. We mention all the key points we hit. So if they can take your home away from you for not paying rent or property taxes, do you really own it? Or even your vehicle, if it's not registered and insured, you're not allowed to drive it. First of all, driving is a privilege, it's not a right. And privileges are given and taken away. So that is something to think about. What about all your stuff? Do you own it? Perhaps, but a very large percentage of us willingly enslaved ourselves in order to acquire all of that stuff, subject to payments. Isn't that the truth, that the vast majority of us are actually deeply enslaved? Okay, and by who? The bankers, the wicked elite, ultimately, So that's the point. Let's hit that. I don't want to make it too. It's really gonna be long, man. So let me see if I can. I'm gonna just run through them, quickly. That's pretty much the point. But I saw that article. It was just, speaking volumes. Let's see. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. We know it, and you're seeing it more and more. The people are mourning. That's why they are protesting more and more. Even it's to the point now where that's the new thing that's trending. It's going viral left and right through social media. All these people making TikTok videos and social media videos talking about being oppressed. Why? Because Esau Edom is coming down with great wrath. He's got to collapse this. I told you over and over, you got to collapse this current economy, to usher in this new digital system, the charagma, the hour temptation. We right there, This is Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach. What's that? 29 and 21. The chief thing for life is water, and bread and clothing, and an house to cover shame. Okay, that's the chief things, right? That's the basic necessities that you need in life: water, food, clothing, and a shelter, right? But because of your unjust weights, because of how wicked this devil is, because of usury, you're not getting paid a fair day's wage, you can't even have the bare necessities. You can't afford to, you motherfuckers is skipping meals more and more, all throughout. And it's not just in Babylon. This is a global thing. More and more people becoming homeless, that's why the people are mourning. They're not even getting the bare necessities, okay? because we are all slaves, man. But I'm chiefly concerned with Yasharallah, you tribes, you know, and this is what would befall us, you know. Moses told us that Deuteronomy 28. We were hitting some of the key points at camp, and I want to hit. I just got them up. I just want to hit certain points real quick, and then because these curses completely identify us in the latter times, man. Completely. That's how we know who we are and who the wicked is. Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper, right, in thy ways. Jake, see that, man. But now these curses are coming on everybody, on them that hate us. Even Esau feeling these curses, man. It says, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Right? Because the only one that could save us is the one that put us in this predicament, which is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It tells you that in Deuteronomy 68, right? So let's I want to hit some of the curses, man. Deuteronomy 28, which I just read one of them, but Deuteronomy 28, I start at 45. Moreover, all these curses shall, because when you read Deuteronomy 28, the beginning part of that chapter is the blessings, right? If we would obey, and then the latter part is the curses if we disobeyed, And as it's going to say, they're upon us for a reason, so that we can identify ourselves, so that we can consider, and them Jakes and the northern and the southern kingdom that was in that ditch, breaking their backs, they were considering, these prophecies were ringing true, they were remembering themselves. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord. Because we disobey. We bring it out over and over. We're in this predicament because we disobeyed Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? Worshipping idols, worshipping different gods, being adulterers, sodomites, breaking the dietary laws, breaking the high holy days, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And it says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Lord Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. That's the main point. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. We got to go to this devil for everything. And it says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. The Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. And we know who that's talking about, Esau, Edom. We went into all this at camp, and we bring it out over and over. So it says, the Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce, the Edomites, whether they were French, Portuguese, Spaniards, British, Salakia. Salakia, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. You see, that's the point. So let's hit some more. Like I said, I'm not trying to make it too long. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. I start at 65. And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh, make me think about Jake, man. We be on the plantation. We call it the plantation. You're on the slavery on your different gigs. Working, standing up, working all day. Your foot bottom, like they say in the islands, your foot bottom hurting. When you get off work, you gotta soak your feet in Epsom salt and shit. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, And not to mention, you working, which I'm bringing out Haggai. You doing all the hard ass work, and you not even getting a decent wage, man. You know, can't even get the bare necessities, and that's why the people are losing it. You know, they tired of being oppressed. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. Jake is all especially you women now. You women all stressed out, all on psychotics, uppers and downers. You know, women all depressed and shit. You know, you don't know how you're gonna pay rent. You don't know how you're gonna make your car payment. You know, you one calamity away from, you know, being out on the streets. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even. And at evening thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. This is the main point. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt, which we know that's talking about modern day Egypt, which is America. Egypt meaning bondage. America is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, our land, you know, the land of Israel, right? Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold, right? Chiefly in the Americas, right? There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, which are slaves. And no man shall buy you. No man shall what? Free you. Okay? You see? And, hey, that's facts, man. Can't get around it. Okay? Let's see. Let's hit Haggai. Haggai 1 and 6. You have sown much and bring in little. Yeah, your feet hurting, you know, working sun up to sundown, your back hurting, knees going out. You got fucking migraines and shit, you know. Just working, slaving on these jobs, breathing in all type of poisonous chemicals, you know, destroying your health, you know. Barely can see your children. Your damn, you know, your household is being destroyed, you know, being ran ragged, you know, and got nothing to show for it. Still don't own a goddamn thing, you know. You have sown, but that's our punishment for disobeying Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you know. Ye have sown so much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. Just as soon as the money comes in, it goes out. Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments. The borrower is subject to the lender. You know? We're slaves to the wicked elite. You know, chiefly the house of Amalek, the chief house of Edom. You know? Behold, we are yet this day in captivity, in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord Adawan, our power. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Alright? We know it. We know the unjust weights. I just want to hit them. It's going a little bit longer than I expected. My voice starting to give out. I'm almost there. I'm like 90%. It's good enough. Good enough for government work, like they say. You know? So Habakkuk chapter 2, and we know we bring it out all the time, but straight to the point. Habakkuk 2 and 6 shall not. Gotta read a little bit more. Salakia. Start at 4. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up, Esau, Obadiah, his pride, right? He's the proud man, you know. Behold, his soul which is lifted up, Esau, Edom, is not upright in him. He can't get right. He is the wicked, per Malachi 1 and 4. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's whipping stick on the left-hand side. But the just, who's the just, Israel, Yasharallah, shall live by his faith. I brought that out in Deuteronomy. In the evening, Yahweh will. In the morning, Yahweh will. You know? we walking by faith. not by sight, you know? It's through the tender mercies of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that we are not destroyed. Yea, also, because he transgresses by wine, his philosophies, his ideologies, his ways of life, his schools of thought. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, because wherever he goes, that's what he's going to put upon you, purity hell. He's going to work you to the bone, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. Ain't no pleasing this devil. He can never have his fill, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? Because everything he has, he stole it, And that's why, as I'm going to bring out, the kingdom is about to be translated. The Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is about to recompense him. How long? Not much longer. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai set the bounds which he can't pass. And he knows it. That's why he's coming down with great wrath. Revelation 12:12. And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, I bought you that debt. Heavy weight, heavy pledges, heavy weights, debt. I bought you clay. Debt. That's what he built his kingdom upon. Debt. Unjust weights, usury. Bunch of debt slaves. Ecclesiasticus 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. That's a future prophecy that's coming to pass as we speak. A changing of the guard, baby. Esau's the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. That's the good news. Our bid is up. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is about to recompense this devil. We're going to close out here. Baruch 4:21. Be of good cheer, O my children. Cry unto the Lord out of one, and he will deliver you from the power of the hand of the enemies, because he's the only one that could save us, because he put us in this predicament. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, because we are not yet saved. We're going to be saved when we enter into them chariots, man. Get them new bodies, And so for my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you. And joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting our Savior. For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahweh will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. We're joint heirs with Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, and that's what we're waiting on, our big brother, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to rise up to the prey. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. As we waiting on, and our redemption is nigh. Victory is nigh. You can taste it. Like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you with great glory, the straightness of our salvation, far beyond all that they look for. These niggers, these spicks, these skins, these coons, they the Lord's chosen people. Oh shit, we fucked up. You damn right you fucked up. Like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see the shortly your salvation from our power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. My children, suffer patiently the patience and faith of the saints, man. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh. For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. My delicate ones have gone rough ways, and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, my children, and cry unto Yahweh, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. For as it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. For he that brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. And right now we're being comforted with these words, these prophecies. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is not a man that he shall lie. You know? That's the good news. Hey, our redemption is nigh. Victory is nigh. You know? We almost out of here. Miserable, we're being comforted seeing the downfall of our enemies, man. Seeing these curses that were upon us, upon them. You know? Miserable are they that afflicted thee. Seeing their children, you know, strung out on oxys and seeing their children going through the opioid crisis. We went through the heroin epidemic, the crack epidemic, you know, first fired, last hired, you know, laid off, no benefits, you know. Now we seeing them go through it, you know. We seeing them homeless and we seeing them catching hell. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. That's the good news. And just open up your eyes and look around. Go on social media, TikTok. These people are through. Beautiful times, man. Yapar times for the elect of Yasharallah. Horrific times for the rest of you. Shalom. Wa abad babal. Kwam Yasharallah.